Welcome to Mental Health Breakthroughs for Young Adults and Families. I'm your host, Carey Conley. This podcast is dedicated to helping young adults navigate through the challenges and learning curves that they're experiencing in every area of life. My personal episodes will be dedicated to helping you with getting clarity, direction, moving through adversity, and living with purpose and hope. I will also be bringing you amazing guests to discuss topics such as finances, career choices, relationships, grief, addiction, positive mindset, mental health, and more. I am on a mission to help you live a life that you love and have the confidence to go after your dreams. Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Mental Health Breakthroughs for Young Adults and Families. I've brought this guest in a couple of times already, and I just love having her here to talk about all things money and finances. And if you do not know this woman, I'm going to introduce her to you. Her name is Sharon Lechter. Sharon is known as the financial literacy expert, literally, of the world, has served under 2 presidents, right? As an advisor, and it's written over, what'd you tell me now, 28 best-selling books, probably writing another one. And really has stepped into wanting to change the trajectory of educating our young adults about money and taking the stress away from that. So I've invited her to come back and talk a little bit more about that with me, and also talk about the masterclass that is now in my young adult community called Vision is Victory Academy. It's called You and Your Money. So thanks for coming back, Sharon.
Always delighted, Carey.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it's such an honor because I know how busy you are with all the things, right?
There's always time to help people learn about money.
Well, I appreciate you. So you've shared this story before, and I've heard it many times, Sharon, but how did you step into this role?
Well, I started off in lower middle class in my little tiny house between my mom's beauty shop and my dad's used car lot. And all my friends, their parents were CEOs and military officers. I was embarrassed by where I lived. And my parents did not have high school degrees, let alone college degrees. But they were entrepreneurs. And we had rental properties. I had to go scrub out the bathrooms between tenants. We had orange groves because my dad said the oranges each year gave us cash flow. So we talked about those kinds of things at dinner. We talked about assets, cash flow. And it wasn't until I got out into the real world when I went to first generation, got my college degree, only woman in the accounting classes. I was one of the very first women in public accounting. So I achieved what I wanted to be. I wanted to be that sophisticated professional. Mm-hmm. So about the age of 25, it's like, okay, here I am. I've achieved what my goals were, and I'm miserable. I'm not in control of my own life. And all of a sudden, my parents looked a whole lot smarter because by then they'd grown quite a bit of wealth and through entrepreneurship. And I had a client invite me to leave public accounting to go with him. He was buying a company out of bankruptcy. And I still remember saying pros and cons, staying where I am, leaving, and it didn't help. I could argue both sides. And my hand wrote across, why not? And I really, why not do something different? Why not take the path less traveled? Why not do something about the fact that people don't understand money? Mm-hmm. And I made that decision to leave public accounting and become an entrepreneur, and I've never looked back. And the why not is why not solve a problem or serve a need? So during my career, there were lots of things that I saw. My kids didn't like to read, so I joined forces and built the talking book industry around the world to get kids excited about reading again. Always understanding that I knew more about money than most people did. Right. Started volunteering in the school system. My oldest son went off to college and got into credit card debt. I was mad at him, but I was more mad at myself because I taught him about money. And that was December of 1992, and that's really when I dedicated the rest of my career to financial literacy, financial education. And I'm as passionate about it today as I was in December of 1992. Yep. And so there's still a long ways to go because we still don't have financial education required for all high school students. And we're better, but we're not where we need to be. And so along that trajectory, I started working with the schools. That's when I met Robert Kiyosaki. He had this idea for a board game. I helped him create it. In that process, he realized I had a lot of experience, and I just volunteered to help him commercialize this game he thought about. And in that process, he told me he was going to charge $200 for it. And I said, that's pretty pricey. Maybe you should write a brochure that explains the philosophy behind the board game.
Right.
And that's when he asked me to help him write that brochure. And that brochure was called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Most people don't understand that. We never expected to take off on a life of its own.
Yeah.
And it was written as a marketing tool to sell the board game. And so we released Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It just took the world by storm. All of a sudden, they wanted more books. Well, we'll do a trilogy. So we did Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, Rich Dad's Guide to Investing. Oh, no. We were partners, equal partners for 10 years, and we built this company around the globe. Wrote 15 books together, did all kinds of audio programs, infomercials. We built the world's largest personal finance brand. And we really did set out to change the trajectory of people's personal financial lives, to elevate the financial well-being of humanity. And we achieved that. There's still a lot more to be done. But 10 years into it, he wanted to go in a different direction. When you make a lot of money, it just brings out more of who you really are. And he wanted to do something that I didn't agree with, so I made the decision to leave at the height of our success. Everybody thought I was crazy. Sometimes I did too, but sometimes you have to close the door for other doors to open. I thought my legacy was Rich Dad, but somebody upstairs said, no, there's more for you to do. And so a few months after I made the decision to leave, I got the call from President Bush, and that's when I was asked to be on the first President's Advisory Council for Financial Literacy. I served both President Bush and President Obama, so equal opportunity issue here, bipartisan. And then in March of '08, I got the phone call from the Napoleon Hill Foundation. And I wouldn't have gotten either of those calls had I still been at Rich Dad. But because the economy was crashing at that time, the foundation wanted to reinvigorate the teachings of Napoleon Hill, and they found out that I had left Rich Dad. So that was a huge opportunity. I read Think and Grow Rich when I was 19. Yeah. And it's like the #1 personal development brand. So having built the world's largest personal finance brand and then to step in to help and reinvigorate the world's largest personal development brand, well, I was so humbled. But it was an incredible opportunity. I wrote 4 books with the Napoleon Hill Foundation, 3 Feet from Gold, Outwitting the Devil, Think and Grow Rich.
Favorite.
Yes, Think and Grow Rich for Women, and Success in Something Greater. And it's just continuing to look at aspects that can help people figure out where they are today and how to get to where they need to be, whether it be personal finance, business finance, mindset. All of those things are so important in taking control of your finances.
So I want to touch on a couple things you mentioned. So first, I know you've probably said this a million times to me, but I did not realize how much of an impact your parents made on you with how they taught you about cash flow and assets, and how I think very few parents do that.
Almost none.
Right.
Yeah, most people, when you're growing up, your parents don't want to talk about money because they don't have enough, and
Right.
so they don't want you to know that they're struggling, and so you don't talk about money. It's like sex, politics, and money, right? Well, the problem is when you don't know much about something, you tend to fear it.
Yeah.
And what you do hear about money growing up, you hear things like money doesn't grow on trees, pinch your pennies, save for a rainy day, we can't afford it. All those things are negative. They're all negative.
Yeah.
So you grow up as a young person hearing money negative, money negative, money negative. No wonder we develop a mindset of scarcity.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens in, by far, 99% of households. Yeah. Right? And until we provide financial education in the school system, we talk about wanting to level the playing field for all children. It's not going to happen in the house, because the rich houses, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, because that's where they're learning about money. Right. If we truly want to have every child have equal opportunity, give them the tools and education they need to understand money. Because when it comes to money, it's really pretty easy. You either control your money or it controls you. And we're all taught in school to get a job. That's right. Fine, but that's exchanging time for money. And it's, your financial health is determined not by what you do for your paycheck, but what you do with your paycheck. Yeah. And that's one element people can understand is no problem being an employee. There's nothing wrong with being an employee, but what are you doing with your income? Are you investing it or spending it? Right. Are you an investor or a consumer? Because that will dictate your future financial situation. And the sooner and younger you get the plan to start investing, not consuming, the better your long-term financial capabilities will be.
Yes. I'm loving that you're talking about this because, a lot of parents come to me because when they find out about how I'm serving on young adults, building this community, I mean, they're all like, please do that. But the first thing I ask them, Sharon, is, okay, so I'm going to help them with their vision, money, experts coming in, relationships, all the things they feel the pressure around. But I have to look at the parents and say, first thing I got to ask you is, how are you doing? Because you are the example for them, right? And I think money, is a big thing.
It is. And, people stress out about money.
Yeah.
That impacts the environment of the home.
Yes.
It is, often considered the number one cause for divorce. It's just, and when you get divorced, typically both households suffer from a standpoint of how you have one household that gets divided into two.
Right.
So not only is there an emotional cost, but there's a financial cost to that as well.
Yeah. And all that trickles down into our young adults right now who are really stressed out about money, not knowing where it's going to come from, how are they going to make enough, and not really understanding. So I had this conversation with my nephew. He's 24 or 5. He has a job in Colorado, and he's doing really well. And I asked him about his job, and he said, I'm doing great. I got a promotion, more money. It means I get to go spend more on blah, blah, blah. And I went, okay, no. No. I said, do you understand that if you took that and learned how to spread it around, put it, it's like, no, I'm just going to, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
And that's the stats right now. In fact, I was just listening to a new survey that just came out on the way here tonight. I said, oh, good thing to hear this. And that is, the younger generation, you're right, they're the highest stress level there's ever been. Like 82% of Gen Y and Gen Z are stressed out about money. Right. That's the highest it's ever been in my lifetime. And 93% of women stressed out about money. It's really scary. But in addition, the mentality of spending is different. The study that just came out says, the younger generations are more concerned about their experience than they are about things. They don't necessarily buy the new car, but they want to spend the money on a trip.
Sure.
They want to spend the money on doing something fun. And, I see it. We go out to a nice restaurant, and it's full of young people. And I go, how can they afford? Their bill's $400 for 2 people, and these kids are in their early 20s. Right. And so it hurts my heart when I see that.
Well, I wasn't going to bring this up, but you said something. So here's the other thing that's happening. So we've got social media happening, and what they're seeing are all of their peers crushing it. I'm doing this, I'm making this. And I literally saw something on Instagram, Sharon, that was an ad for something that said, this 11-year-old has made $23 million and is retired. And I thought, there's so many wrong things with that. Can you believe this?
It's so true. I mean, if only everybody's life could be as it is portrayed on Instagram and Facebook. You don't know what's happening behind the closed doors. And that's just added to the stress level. Certainly COVID didn't help because then they got totally reliant on social media and they've stayed there. Right. And that you see young people are seeing their friends together and they're not with them. And so they get this fear of being left out, fear of, FOMO, fear of missing out. Yeah. I tell everybody, let's replace FOMO with JOMO, joy of missing out. Decide, have the vision of what you want and go after it. And it's okay that you miss a few parties, but be determined in your actions. Because if I could share something with young people, I share it with adults too. There's only 3 things you can control. Your thoughts, your words, your actions. That's it.
Right.
And nobody else is pulling the strings. What you're thinking is up to you, what you're saying and your actions. And what happens is our thinking gets skewed because of these filters we have. We start feeling fear, and we feel like we're being left out, we're not good enough. And that negative thinking causes us to say things that are negative. And then we say things and then we do things that are self-destructive. Yeah. But it starts with your thoughts. Right. And the same thing, whether it's your spirituality or whether it's your finances. If you're constantly scarcity thinking, then when you do have some success, you don't know how to hold on to it because you're afraid you're going to lose it, so you spend it. Yeah. And that's a double whammy. So start working on your thoughts, shed the negative thinking, shed the scarcity mindset, and start adopting an abundance mindset. And it takes work. But who are you listening to? What are you reading? Are you getting that positive input every single day? With COVID, I got mad at all the negativity, so I started this daily positive messaging, and I do it every single day. I'm up to over 2,000 of them because I want people to implant positivity into their brain every single day to drive out that negative thinking.
You've done that a lot for me over the years that we've been friends, and you being my coach and mentor. I remember saying to you once that I felt guilty, right, about the money and the abundance. And you said to me, I know exactly where I was sitting when you said this to me, this is how much it meant. You said, let's change that from guilt to gratitude. And every time I start feeling any kind of guilt or worry, I always go back to that. So, because it's so much negative narrative, a lot around money. And I think that's the first thing, especially young adults need to recognize is start becoming aware what you're thinking when you think about money. Because I don't think any of us really stop and think, oh, I didn't even really know I had that.
Well, there's an extra I tell people, Carey, when I say, have you said I can't afford something? Of course, we all have.
Yeah.
But think about what that statement, it is a statement, it's negative, and it closes down your brain.
Right.
You want to just turn off the lights and get under the covers and cry, I can't afford it, right? But catch yourself, and instead of saying I can't afford it, ask yourself, how can I afford it? When you say, how can I afford it? It's a question. Yeah. It goes embedded into your subconscious brain, and your subconscious brain goes to work trying to help you find ways to afford what you want. And it triggers your entrepreneurial spirit and completely different results inside your brain. And when I share that story, I also say, if you are a parent and you're saying we can't afford it to your children, the impact is negative, closed-minded. Okay, so instead say, Johnny, Mary, if you want that, how can you afford it? Right. And little kids get very creative on ways to make more money, right? Clean out the closet, clean out your car. I'll wash your tires, Daddy, you know. But they get encouraged, and their entrepreneurial spirit goes to work, and they earn the money they want. Let them celebrate by what they want, as long as it's a constructive decision. And then what you see is not just this fact that they've set a goal, they had a vision, they set a goal, they achieved it, so celebrate with them. But the best byproduct of that is self-confidence. Yeah. They now know that they can achieve something on their own. They now know that if they want something, they can work hard enough and achieve it. They also know how to make money. And the gift of financial education is the gift of a lifetime.
Right. Yeah, because that trickles down, right, into generation after generation. So I love it's just changing the mindset. The other thing that's happening around the stress in young adults is the debt factor, Sharon. So many of them start in their young lives in massive amounts of debt.
Right, and so the credit card debt has never been higher, and the credit card interest rate has never been higher. It's really killing our young people. And this thought of easy credit, just charge it, is something, you just have to take a step back and say, okay, how long is it going to take me to pay this off if I'm just paying the minimum amount? Maybe never, because it continues to grow. Sure. And so it's really important to, the first, I tell people when they're in a lot of credit card debt, the first thing you have to do is stop digging, because you're digging yourself a hole. Right. Stop digging. Right? Stop using your credit card until you can start paying it down. If you have credit cards, line them all up, write down how much you owe, what interest rate you're paying, and then find the lowest balance one and pay it off first. Okay. Because again, that goes to mindset. You've now accomplished. Right. You've paid one off, and it gives you courage and excitement to apply to then you go back and look at the highest interest rates. But we at the end of the day, you talk about controlling your thoughts, your words, your actions. But when it comes to money, you want to pay attention to the momentum of your money. Is your money moving you forward, or is it pulling you back? Credit card debt pulls you back. Sure. Investments, cash flow is the positive momentum of money that can help you create a financial freedom you deserve.
It's great. These are great steps to take because I think, again, so many people are just so overwhelmed with it and think there's no way out. And you and I both know a lot of really amazing people that have been hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt that got themselves out and retired early just because they learned how money worked and what to do with it. So, what would you tell somebody that's, let's say, getting out of college right now, they've got a job or they're wanting to start a business? What would be maybe one or two things that you would say, take X amount of your money and put it where? Where would you tell them to go first?
Well, look at all that you're bringing in, the money that's coming in, and make sure we talk about, paying attention to what you're spending on housing, because that's usually one of the largest pieces of what you're spending. Think about, should I have a roommate for a couple of years to help me share expenses so I can start socking some money away? Start saving a minimum of 20% of what you make. And make the decisions instead of not saving as much, maybe don't spend as much going out to dinners, to movies. Think about how the choices that you're making, all right? Again, you're going to change your thoughts about money. I want to make sure I start investing.
Right.
So that you tell yourself, I'm going to invest. I'm not going to do these other things, and then it impacts your actions. And once you start, the first step is always the hardest. But once you start seeing that money set aside and start seeing it grow, it gives you more courage and more motivation to keep doing it. And all of a sudden you're going to see the fact that when you have those investments generating cash flow, then you can use that cash flow for your fun things. Right. And so I say always focus on buying, building, creating income producing assets, because you're financially free when the income from your assets exceeds your monthly expenses. It does not have to be millions of dollars, right? And so focus on buy, build, and create income-producing assets, and then those assets act like your own employees with no personality problems. They're there generating revenue for you every single day, every single month. And as that grows and you become financially free, the income from those assets allow you to live the life you want.
Right. And now more than ever, Sharon, there's so many ways to make money. I mean, there's just no excuse for somebody to say, where am I going to get that money? There's so many different ways. I was telling a friend of mine, just, be creative. There's so many things you could do with your experience, your skills, your passions, and just learn how to market it. It's easy to have. There's so many people.
And with the internet,
Exactly.
It's really leveled the playing field between small businesses and large businesses.
Right. And now for young adults to look at how they can afford the things they want faster. Because I think where they really get stuck, like you're talking about, the mindset is that it's just not possible.
Yeah,
where
and
I'm at
it
right
is.
now.
Focus on your purpose. What makes you happy? What makes you angry? For me, it's always what makes me angry. But I start a new company when I get mad about something. So, but solve a problem, serve a need. If you focus on that, that's going to give you purpose. That's going to give. That's like my purpose is as strong today as it was December of '92. Financial education in the school systems, and it's something that each of us has an opportunity to change the world, and you can do well by doing good. Focus on making the world a better place. Focus on solving a problem or serving a need, and the money will come.
Yeah. Love that. So your masterclass in Viva in the Academy is called You and Your Money. Let's talk a little bit about that. What can they expect to learn in that?
Well, the first section we talk about cash flow patterns, because most people don't understand that they're living a cycle. They're living a pattern. The money comes in, money goes out. Money comes in, money goes out. All right. And then you find somebody you love and you end up two of you and you have two incomes, and all of a sudden you buy the big car, you buy the big TV. And so you have two incomes, debt, and the money goes out, right? Yeah. And so the area that they don't think about are the assets, the investments, investing in real estate, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. Businesses. Those investments are the assets that grow with you and grow for you. And so the first section is for people to understand the importance of mindset and cash flow patterns. And then we get into the importance of understanding your credit score and how to improve your credit score, how to get out of debt, understand the difference between good debt and bad debt, because there is good debt. And most people say, blame the credit card. Well, the credit card's a piece of plastic.
Right.
It's not the credit card that's the problem. It's the person holding the credit card, right? And so the whole section is about understanding debt and credit. And then the last session is understanding how to create your personal financial statements and how to understand them. Money is language. Understand the story that your financial statements tell you.
All such good stuff. I'm going to have to take this myself. I know I've been through a little bit of it before with you as my coach, but yeah, I just really feel this is just a big issue from whatever age. But, I have 2 grandsons now, and I know you have grandkids too. And one of the things that I really hope for them is that they understand it's just a whole different way of seeing money instead of what our educational system still tells them is to get the job and the paycheck, right? And maybe what they see for their families, that they can create it to be whatever they want.
I always encourage parents who are entrepreneurs to include their kids in their business. Let them see what you're doing, how you're doing it, so they learn, like I did with my parents. At the time, I didn't appreciate it. Felt like I was slave labor. But by being there and seeing the conversations and learning why he bought orange groves instead of raw land, because he got cash flow from the oranges. Yes, the land appreciated. Part of it's now under SeaWorld in Orlando. So, wow. But just the thought process of that and understanding the importance of appreciation over long term, but also the importance of cash flow here and now is something that people just don't get it. They don't understand it because they've been taught in school to get a job, and they've been taught to exchange time for money.
Right.
And that's what happens when you're going to work every day, right? You're exchanging your time for money. The problem is there's only so many hours in the day and so many days in the week. So when you learn the lesson to buy, build, and create assets, as those assets grow and the income from those assets continue to increase, you get your time back. It's a beautiful thing. And then you have whether you get out of bed or not in the morning, your money is still coming in. And that's the lesson I want people to understand.
Yeah. I learned that. I had that light bulb moment years ago when I was first married and I was doing the 9-to-5 thing and I wasn't doing it well. I kept changing jobs, Sharon, every 2 years because I thought the next job I was going to be happier, until I finally figured out. My first mentor said to me, "You're not going to fit this mold. You need to go figure out what it is." And this is why I wrote my first vision, was when I was 28. She told me, "You can create whatever you want. You just have to sit down and get really clear on it." And so I got very clear on the lifestyle I wanted, the relationship I wanted to have with my kids, what kind of mother I wanted to be. And so out of that, I manifested going into the network marketing industry, right? Checked all the boxes. Residual income, earn the trips, stay home with the kids. But I hope that everybody listening to this is having that light bulb moment of knowing that no matter what you heard growing up or what you were taught in school, if you have a dream. And I'm gonna end on this because you say this all the time and you mentioned at the beginning. It's why not? And I think so many of our young adults are scared to death to even take one step.
Yeah, and I want them to hear this. God created you to be you, not me, not Carey, not your best friend. You have everything you need to create success in your life. You might need to learn a skill here or there, but you are already the owner of your mind. So remember, thoughts, words, actions, and you can create anything.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So I just so appreciate you, Sharon, being a part of coming back here, recording, being part of Viva, helping support this community that I'm growing. It means a lot to me.
Well, I absolutely am dedicated to the younger generation having the tools they need to not just succeed, but to thrive.
Yeah.
So,
agreed. Thank you so
you.
much. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode. And I want to invite you again to check out Viva, visionisvictoryacademy.com. There is a link here in the show notes. And join us. We're growing a really amazing community with experts like Sharon coming in and teaching all sorts of different skill building things that you need to know. And I will actually once a month go live in the membership to do some coaching and some Q&A. So check out Viva. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And I'm just here to remind you to keep looking up. Design the life you've always dreamed of with Viva, Vision is Victory Academy. Join us and discover how to transform your vision into victory. Whether you're seeking clarity, resilience, or a path to personal growth, Viva is here to guide you every step of the way. Don't wait for life to happen to you. Make it happen with Viva. Sign up today at visionisvictoryacademy.com and take the first steps towards a life of purpose and passion. Your future self will thank you.